Okay, so I think we are ready to go, inshallah. So let's get this going. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin ya rabbal alameen. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. And apologize for that little bit of a delay there. Technical issues, but I think we're all used to those now. So inshallah, let's get going. I hope that everyone is doing great, inshallah, and making the best out of these blessed days. We're in the first 10 days of one of the 4 sacred months of Islam, the month of Dhul Hijjah, the last month in the Hijri calendar. So Nisa Helpline is presenting a series of Facebook live sessions this month under the theme of sacred months as a measure of healing. So that's sacred months as a measure of healing. And we aim to establish the relationship between the spiritual meaning in Islam and healing. And this series aims to bring people close to their faith, to strengthen their mental health, knowing the virtues of what Allah makes sacred and holy. Our first session in the series for today is named The Power of the Remembrance of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So inshallah, let's get started with that. We're privileged to have 2 speakers who are also happen to be long-term supporters of the helpline, Sister Tasneem Gori and Sheikh Dawood Butt. So Sister Tasneem Gori, and when I say sister, I mean literally sister. She is my sister. She's my younger sister, mashallah. And so she was born and raised in Montreal. She is one of 11 children and has always been active in her community, mashallah. She has studied with the Islamic Online Institute, the Islamic Online University, and with local scholars. She has lectured on the Being Me, which is the Muslimah Empowered platform in Malaysia and Australia and Toronto. She has conducted Islamic workshops at various schools across the GTA and participated in Being Me's Legacy Tour. She is the former chair of the Amal Center for Women and former vice chair of the Sisterhood Softball League. For the last 2 years, she has been running a Sisters Halaqa at ICCM on the topic of Aqidah and a weekly girls club. She is a Quran Tajweed teacher, plays basketball and softball, is an avid baker and mother of 2 very rambunctious homeschool girls who happen to be my nieces, mashallah, tabarak rahman. So, and Sheikh Dawood Butt was born and raised in Montreal, Canada as well, and has always had a desire to learn and teach Islam. Following secondary studies, he obtained a degree in automotive technology and was nominated amongst Canada's top graduates in 2002. He went on to study at the Islamic University of Medina for 7 years, during which he completed a diploma in Arabic language, followed by a Bachelor of Arts degree in Theology and Islamic Da'wah from the Faculty of Da'wah and Usul ad-Din in 2010. With an eagerness to continue learning Islam, Sheikh Dawood completed a Master of Arts degree with excellence in Islamic and other civilizations at the International Islamic University in Malaysia. He was awarded Imam of the Year for 2015, mashallah, in Mississauga, and is currently the Director of Education and Outreach at the Islamic Community Center of Milton. He's also chaplain for the Milton District Hospital and the Maplehurst Penitentiary. He maintains a high level of respect for his teachers and always remembers fine details about the people he meets. He's a jack of all trades and enjoys cars, perfume, sunglasses, and most of all, playing with his 2 beautiful daughters. So let's continue. Today, I want to welcome our special guest speakers and all of you to this live session where will we be diving deep into how the continuous remembrance of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala can help us during our difficult times, especially the increasing incidence of Islamophobia that we've been witnessing. In addition to showing us the virtues of these 10 special days and the importance of the day of Arafah. The session will last, inshallah, approximately 30-40 minutes, and we will have about 10 minutes for questions at the end. So prepare your questions and any reflections and share them with us in the chat, and we will get to them, inshallah, as soon as we are done. So let's get started on the power of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah. Take it away.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So we're operating on the policy of ladies first. So that's why I began, inshallah.
That's not what we agreed on.
Go for it.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ما بعد. First of all, I hope everyone is doing well, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khairan to Nisa Helpline for having us once again. Always a pleasure to help out in any way, shape, or form, of course, within our capacity, alhamdulillah. So I also hope that you can hear us properly. We are using a mic, and there's two of us sitting in front of it, so hopefully the sound is good. I wanted to start off by, when we talk about the importance of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, really, what are we talking about? We're talking about dua. We're talking about thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're talking about consciously always being aware of Allah azza wa jal, taqwa. And subhanAllah, when we think of this topic and the importance and the role that it plays within our lives in remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, really we are from Allah. Allah created us. And we will return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, we need to turn to Allah in every moment in our lives. Now, I wanted to, as I was mentioning to Tasneem earlier, is that I wanted to start with, the beginning of the creation with Adam alayhi salam and Hawa, and how the two of them were, in a situation where they're enjoying themselves, enjoying the blessings and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He placed upon them. And then that mistake that was made and how they were removed from paradise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hears the call of His worshippers. The two of them called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the mistake that they made, seeking forgiveness, repenting immediately, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their dua, رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Adam alayhi salam, you can just imagine, calling out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Hawa feeling, that sadness that we did something that displeased our creator. And immediately they turned to asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness by saying that we have wronged ourselves, right? We've wronged ourselves. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا. And if you don't forgive us, right? لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. We will surely be from amongst those who have wronged themselves, right? Who are losers, really, as in we were not successful at pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's an example to start off with, how even the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in their challenges, in their difficult times and moments, they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remembering Him. You look at the example of many, if not all, of the prophets of Allah. They all called out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, we have multiple examples of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, at Badr. But look at Nuh alayhi salam calling out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect and save his son who's in the water, who says he's going to swim to a mountain and he'll be safe. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls out and responds to the dua of the caller, the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. You look at other prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Yusuf alayhi salam, right? قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ, right? Seeking the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that difficult moment, then placed in prison, calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every single one of those who were pious and close to Allah, Maryam alayhi salam, the mother of Isa, calling out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how am I going to do this? Deliver a child in the middle of nowhere with no one around? How will I face the people when I return with this child? They know that I'm not married. They know that I've, been keeping myself protected away from others. How am I going to face the people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reassuring her that everything will be okay. Everything will be perfectly fine. and Allah will take care of everything. And that's really what we need to focus on. The fact that every single time we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in dua and look at all the different times in our lives that we've done that, we surely can say that Allah has helped us. There are few people who are still going through that incident or that issue or that difficult time in their lives right now that might say, I'm still waiting for the help of Allah, right? I'm still waiting for the help of Allah. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معهم متى نصر الله. Right? Even the messengers that were amongst people going through hardship and difficulty in their lives in the past, they would call out and say, when is the help of Allah going to come? What does Allah say? His response immediately after that, متى نصر الله? Allah says, ألا إن نصر الله قريب. Right? Verily, for a fact, surely, no doubt, the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is near. So before I go any further, or before passing it over, remember, every single one of us is going through some sort of hardship, and we'll give examples of that in our personal lives and even what's going on in the community, inshallah ta'ala. But I don't want to steal the show from
So I wanted to frame what Dawood was saying based off of one of my favorite verses from Surah Al-Hashr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, and do not be like those who forgot Allah, so Allah made them forget themselves. It's they who are truly rebellious. And what's very interesting is that a lot of us know Surah Hashr for the ending of Surah Hashr, where it's mentioned so many of the names of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introducing himself and telling us about who he is and his characteristics. And this verse is mentioned just before that. And this is the frame within which we need to view the stories that he was mentioning about the prophets, and then the story of our own lives. All of the prophets and the examples that he gave, and even starting from Adam alayhi salam, when they turned to Allah, they were turning to Allah because they knew Allah. They knew who he was. And when you're going through a difficult time and you're feeling like, who can I call to ask for help? Every one of us has, someone that we know we can count on. We know that based off of certain qualities they have, or the fact that they were there for us before, or that time when we needed their help, they were there for us. We have a knowledge about that person, a knowledge about what they can do, what they're capable of. And so we turn to that person. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in many places in the Quran, but particularly here, that when you come to know Allah and you know his characteristics, you know what he's capable of doing, that he can rectify your affairs, that he knows everything, that he's all aware, that he's the most just, especially when you're dealing with injustice and oppression. When you have this understanding about Allah and you know that he's capable of doing these things, then this is what will drive your heart to turn towards him. By remembering Allah, you remember yourself, you can protect yourself, you can take yourself from what the situation that you're in to a better situation, because you've remembered who your creator is and you've turned to the one who you know can handle it, I mean, how many of us would not want to take all of the problems that we have, put them in a big box and just pack it off and give it to someone and say, please take care of it. I'm carrying around all of this. I'm carrying around all these burdens. I'm carrying around all of this stuff. I just want to let go of it. I want to get rid of it. I want to give it to someone and take care of it. When you have a knowledge of Allah, when you have this connection with Allah, this is what you're doing. You're taking all of your burdens, all of your problems, all of your issues, and you're giving it to someone who is capable of helping you with each and every one of them in a way that you yourself would not even think of. A lot of the times we think we know the way out of our situation, or we think we know the solution to our problems, or we think we might know this is what I need. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows more than us, and he knows what we need, and he'll do that for us. And what's interesting about all the stories of the prophets is that They asked Allah and they turned to him in all of their times of difficulty, not because they were feeling so desperate, not because they were alone, like Maryam alayhi salam was alone. It's because they knew who Allah was. They were already in a constant state of, remembrance of Allah. One of the key examples that I was thinking about when Dawood was talking was the story of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam, when he was in the 3 levels of darkness inside the stomach of the whale. And he called out to Allah and asked for help. And the angels recognized his voice because he was someone who was constantly praising Allah, constantly remembering Allah. So the angels recognized his voice, and Allah SWT, answered him and, saved him from the hardship that he was going through. But the key aspect of this story is that their constant remembrance of Allah, the connection with Allah, the knowledge of Allah was present before the difficult situation happened. And it's so interesting to also reflect on the fact that these were not disbelievers or sinful people that these problems were happening to. These very great problems and very great challenges were happening to prophets. So they were going through really, really strong challenges. So all of us are also going to be facing challenges, but none of us are at the level of a prophet of Allah, but yet they still went through hardship. But what was different for them was that they were constantly in a state of remembrance of Allah before that. And if you look at all of the acts that we do, all of the acts of worship that we do, they all have this one ultimate goal in the end. Right? Whenever you talk about salah and zakah and hajj and fasting, there's always what Dawood was mentioning before, taqwa, right? This is the ultimate, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Allah wants you to have, awareness of him. All of these things meant to lead to awareness of Allah. And that's why one of the most precious things to the Prophet ﷺ was his salah. This was something that he himself said is like, this is the coolness of my eyes. This is my comfort. Because no one's life was more challenging than his. He was upset, he felt depressed, he felt sad, he felt hurt, he felt neglected, he felt all of the same feelings that we ourselves feel at different points in our life. But he knew that if I can just connect back with Allah, if I can just slow myself down, talk to Allah, then everything will be okay. This is the ultimate goal. And this is what the remembrance of Allah can take us to. It can take us to that point where you're able to just release all of the normal, natural feelings that you are going to be experiencing, that you are experiencing, and you can give them to someone who can take care of it for you. Remembrance of Allah leads to that.
So one of the things that I wanted to point out is the importance of Allah knowing who you are. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows who we are. But think of it this way. How many times do I call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is my voice a voice that is regularly heard in dua? Or is my voice for the angels who are recording and the angels who are reporting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is my voice a voice that was never heard before? Every single one of us goes through problems and issues in life. And I know that, this is Nisa Helpline, so we need to talk about issues. And there are real issues that are ongoing. And, very offhanded kind of joke that came up just before the session. We were talking about the importance of dua and the importance of sabr, right? Be patient and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pray and ask Allah pray and be patient, and Allah will change things for you. Now, yes, that's not advice that is no good. That is perfect and beautiful advice that needs to be given to every single one of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, wants us to be patient in all of the challenges and issues that we're going through, and to constantly call upon him. But he also tells us, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not test us with something except that we're able to get through it. Able to get through it how? By applying the skill set that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has equipped us with in order to seek and get that change and that help. You see, it's very easy for anyone to say to anyone who's going through problems, just make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be patient with it and something will happen. Well, you could try. And you should do that. But don't just sit there and expect something to, pop out of thin air and change your entire situation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be patient with it, wants you to call out to him, but don't just sit there and do nothing. Think of it as earning. You want to earn money in order to buy supper for today because you have no food in your fridge. Well, you can't just sit there and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying and being patient and expect to open the fridge and food will be there. Does Allah have the power and ability to put food there? Yes, absolutely, he does. But is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just waiting for you to sit back and do nothing and make dua and be patient, be like, I'm going to be zahid, I'm going to make tawbah, I'm going to purify myself, and Allah will just put food there? I'm sorry, but I'm not Maryam. And I don't think you're Maryam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided her with the fruits of the opposite seasons for her to eat and to benefit from as a sign that this was someone who's extremely pious, extremely close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet she still had to work hard delivering that child. She still had to work hard in having the confidence to come back and face the people. She still had to do certain things physically, verbally, say things, and find that confidence within herself. So my brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to say is you need to do something in order to seek the change that you're looking for in your life. If you keep saying that you're going through problems and keep sitting with your problems, but never actually do something about it, and I'm not saying that dua and patience is the only things to do. You need to use the skills Allah has blessed you with. Speak to someone. And that's really the first thing. Call Nisa helpline. If you're going through problems and you're going through some issues, you want to talk to someone, call and speak to someone. Go and seek the help and assistance that you need physically, right? Remove the hardship or the problems from your life by taking action, right? And I'll share this with you. I was telling Tasneem last Monday or Sunday, I think it was last Sunday, I said every single call, with exception to 3, in the last week, this was last week, right? Every single call that I received, with exception to 3, had to do with domestic abuse. More specifically, husband physically abusing his wife. And it was the wives that were calling and complaining, right? Every single call except 3. That's crazy. That's really crazy. And subhanAllah, the effect that it has on me, I was like, what's going on? What's wrong with our community? What are we doing wrong? Why aren't we changing this? How come this is still happening? And you know what, my brothers and sisters, as much as it's a problem and there are ways to resolve these issues, I could tell you that at least 90%, that's 9 out of 10 of the sisters will probably not do anything anyways. They probably won't seek help. They won't do anything differently. They won't make a phone call, right? They won't reach out to someone. And if they do reach out, that's all they're going to do. They'll call and be like, this is my problem. Okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, I can't do this. I can't do that. You throw a whole list of suggestions at them and they'll tell you, no, I can't do that. What's left? Really what's left is for maybe me to call authorities and say, hey, you know what? This person is going through this problem. You need to show up at their house. And so my brothers and sisters, you need to think wisely. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, is he hearing us calling out to him? In the last third of the night, when it's time for tahajjud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes down to the lowest level of the skies, right? And asks the angels, which of my servants is asking from me? And the angels mention by name to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the person or people that are calling out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask yourself now, how many times do we wake up at that time of the night to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And then, and I'll take another minute, there are some of us who will say, Dawood, I have been calling out to Allah day and night, and he's not answering my dua. Are you sure he's not answering your dua? Or are you not taking the step that He has blessed you with the ability and the skills and tools available to you, like Nisa Helpline, to go and seek that help. Allah has put it there for you. Are you using it? Ask yourself these questions.
I think as Dawood is speaking, I'm still thinking about that verse, as in that those who forget Allah, then they forget themselves. And I can't help but think that in the situations like that, when you're turning to Allah, and if you don't turn to Allah, then you forget about yourself. You're neglecting yourself. And I was also thinking about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who said that if you see something wrong happening, then you should stop it with your hand. If you can't do that, then stop it with your tongue. And if you can't do that, then at least feel that in your heart. And a lot of the times when we hear this hadith, we tend to think of it as something else happening to somebody else, and I'm seeing it. And you don't think of it as, this is happening to me, and I need to fix it, and I need to do something about it, right? So some problem is happening to me, some difficulty is happening to me, some wrong is being done to me. I have a responsibility, according to this hadith, to either physically do something about it, to actually say something about it, or at the very, very least, feel bad about it in my heart. But we don't personalize the hadith in that way. We tend to think of it as something outside of us. But Allah SWT, when you remember him, and what's very interesting is that when Dawood was talking as well, I was just thinking about how when we make dua to Allah and we talk to him and we ask him for something, we have an expectation in our mind of what we think the result of that dua, the response of that dua is going to be, or what we want. Like when you say to Allah, oh Allah, help me get out of this situation. There's an element when you're calling someone and asking them for help, and you're saying, Layla, can you come over and help me with, with the kids, something. You have an idea in your mind of the things that you want to happen, right? She might come over and do something different, and then, hey, it works out good in the end. It was not what you thought she was going to do, but she comes over, she does some activities with the kids, it ends up helping, and then you get all your work done, and alhamdulillah, it works out. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you understand who he is, and you understand that Allah is al-wakil, he's the one who takes care of all our affairs. Allah is al-khabir, he's aware of all of the problems that we're going through and why we're going through them. When you know that, then you make that dua and you have your own expectations, but you understand Allah, and you understand that Allah is going to show it to me, and Allah is going to respond to me in the way that he knows best. And you have that element of trust and that element of confidence and full confidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be able to get me out. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know which way it's going to come. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, inshallah. And keeping also in mind the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, who said that if you see something wrong, whether it's happening to someone you see outside in the street or something happening to you in your own home, that you do something physically about it, or do something, at least say something with your tongue about it. And that's a responsibility. And the one with the weakest iman is the one who just feels bad about it in their heart. So subhanAllah, that was just something that I was thinking about as Dawood was talking. And one of the things that I was thinking about as I was looking, researching this topic as well beforehand, I was reading about all of the ahadith that talk about the remembrance of Allah and doing adhkar, and how there's so many great rewards for simply just saying words of remembrance of Allah. Just the Prophet ﷺ telling us, keep your tongue wet with the remembrance of Allah, and likening the person who's always remembering Allah to a living person, and someone who forgets Allah to a dead person. Or the fact that if you sit after Fajr and you make adhkar until the sun rises, you get the reward of Umrah, right? So all of these amazing rewards. And I was just thinking, like, what is the ultimate purpose behind this? What is the ultimate reason why are all these ahadith there, and the reward for them is so great? And it only makes sense to look at it and say that Allah SWT is trying to help us in our lives by constantly keeping us in connection with him. And when you think about all the words that you're saying when you are making adhkar, and you think about the meaning of these words, you think, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah. Alhamdulillah, all praises for Allah. Allahu Akbar, Allah is great. What else are these things but a reminder of who Allah is, what he's capable of, what he can do for you? So it's no wonder that the incentive for doing the adhkar is so great, as in the rewards that are mentioned are so great, because what it leads to and what it can bring to you in your life is so great. Alhamdulillah reminds you to be grateful for the problems you're not having. You know, subhanallah, glory be to Allah, reminds you of the greatness of Allah and how capable He is of helping you with whatever you're going through. Allahu Akbar helps you to remember Allah is great. Whatever injustice and dhulm I'm going through, Allah is greater than that. And Allah will help me out of that and rectify this for me. All of it just serves to help you remember Allah more and more. And this is where you're going to find your mental, your peace in your mind. Right?
Should we carry on, or should we start taking questions?
You let us know how much time we have left, because we can keep going.
No, I can keep going. I got a busy schedule today.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. Yeah, we do have a couple of questions, so inshallah I'll get to them. But Jazakumullah khairan, Sheikh Dawood and Tasneem, for the gems, mashallah, and the very inspiring words, and sharing all the beauty of our faith with us and all the special opportunities Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. And alhamdulillah, we can use them to come closer to Allah and to be stronger with Him. And I'll just add that you're an awesome couple, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah make us better than what you think we are, inshallah, strengthen us further.
Okay, so inshallah, the first question here is, what are the manners of making dua in salah? So during our salah, what are the manners of making dua? I'm not sure if that means like how, or does it mean like where in the salat maybe the dua can be placed or something?
Good. So very good question. First off, salah is dua. The definition of dua is salah, or the definition of salah is dua, right? In the sense that everything in the salah is a dua that we are first of all submitting to Allah and asking from Him. And we see that from the beginning of the prayer right till the end. So naturally, when a person prays prayer, they are making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The problem is that many of us don't really know what we're saying in prayer, so we just say it. Like we've been, from children, we memorized,
no, I was just saying it's auto-tune, it's like autopilot. From
the age of, childhood, we started learning how to pray, and we start saying, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم دعاء. And
then we say ولا الضالين آمين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم دعاء صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم دعاء غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين دعاء. Like there's so many times in salah that we're making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the way till the end, right up until the end of the prayer, right? When after, sending peace and blessings upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of that is dua. But if someone wants to make dua in their prayer, there are certain times when you can extend or do more dua. For example, at the beginning of salah, right? Dua istiftah when you're starting, but also in sajda, if you can speak Arabic or dua that you want to say in Arabic. So the prayer itself has to be done in Arabic, right? For all salah.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to make a dua in prayer, it should be done in the Arabic language. When you're sitting between the two sajdas, that's a perfect time for seeking forgiveness. So you can say dua, رب اغفر لي وارحمني وارزقني وعافني وبارك لنا. We make dua as much as you want. You could sit there for 20 minutes in between two sajdas and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking forgiveness, but we don't, right? So in sajda is one of the best times to make dua. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, أقرب ما يكون العبد إلى ربه وهو ساجد. The closest that a person, that a worshipper of Allah will be to his Lord or her Lord is when they are in sajda. And then also after, just before the ending of the prayer is a good time to ask for things of the hereafter. The Prophet ﷺ would prioritize asking for the hereafter, Jannah and higher level of Jannah, and, safeguarding our parents and our family and so on and so forth, making it easy for us on the day of judgment and not harming us with Jahannam or any punishments. That's a time for dua in salah to seek that.
But it has to be in Arabic.
In Arabic. So now the question is, if someone wants to make dua in sajda and they don't know Arabic.
Like a personal dua.
Yeah, you don't need to, first of all, say something. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in our hearts and our mind. So you could be in sajda and not moving your tongue and your lips, but still seeking the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by speaking to Allah in your mind and your heart. And then if a person wants to actually say something, then you can make a sajda at any time, right? You don't have to be in prayer to make dua while in sajda. At any time of the day or night, just go in the sajda position and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in whatever language you want.
Okay, subhanAllah. Yeah, jazakallah khair for sharing that. I had just a quick question based off of that. So if you're making a dua in Arabic in your sujood, but we're not supposed to recite Quran in sujood position, right? So what if, like, some people, the only du'as they know in Arabic are the Quranic du'as, so what should they do in that case? Like, can they read it, or do they have to change it up, or what?
That's fine, because remember, they're not reciting Quran in sajda.
Okay.
They are calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying those dua, and they just happen to be verses of the Quran as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So they can say those dua if it's all that they know. There's nothing wrong.
The purpose and intention is dua and not recitation of Quran.
Okay, thanks. Jazakallah khair. I just want to clarify that. Okay, so there's some more questions. If I have a specific need, should I make the same dua again and again until it is fulfilled?
Well, yes. I mean, that's what I've learned as well, is that you should.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Udu'uni astajib lakum. Call upon me, I will answer you. But remember, are we only calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we need that thing, and once we get it, we forget Allah? And if that's the case, and we've been doing that in our lives previously, then why now should Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just bless me with the thing that I call upon? Like, who's in charge here, me or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge, He may know that the thing I'm asking for is actually not good for me, right? So He may not bless me with it in this life. Remember, dua is accepted in 3 different ways. Either Allah blesses us with it now and immediately, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with it later on in life, or He doesn't bless us with it in this life, and He gives us, good deeds and rewards and something better in the hereafter because of our patience in waiting and wanting that and asking for it. So I think that pretty much answers that question.
And I think, I just think the ultimate goal, and that's why it's nice that this topic is what you're starting off with for this series, that the ultimate goal isn't that, I ask something, I get what I ask for, done. The ultimate goal of Islam as a way of life, as a way of getting through this worldly life, is to connect with Allah and to keep that connection there always. So that when you do need Him, you ask from Him, He gives to you. It's not that you spend your whole life and you never think about Him, and you don't bring Him into every aspect of your life, from waking up to sleeping, and even in your dreams, and then suddenly you don't have that. You don't nurture that. And then you turn around and you ask for something. It wouldn't make sense in our regular everyday relationships with human beings that you never devote any time to your children, and then you ask them to do something for you, or you never devote any time to your spouse, and then you turn around and you ask them to do something for you. We wouldn't do that in our personal life, worldly relationships. But so with Allah, why would we do that, right? I don't know what this position means now. I don't know what it means now. But you wouldn't do that normally, right? So with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's you don't test Him that way, as in, let me see, if I ask Him now, is He going to give it to me?
SubhanAllah, yeah. That's so true, yeah.
Remember also on this topic, a lot of the time, we call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but if we were always near Allah, those who are pious and righteous, whatever Allah deals their way, right? And I literally use that term, dealing their way, because sometimes we're like, oh, why did I have to be dealt these cards? Whatever Allah deals your way and gives to you, people who are righteous and pious and close to Allah, instead of complaining and then turning and making dua, Ya Allah, don't give me this, give me something better, they end up saying, Alhamdulillah, right? They're thankful for what Allah has given to them, thinking of all they've already been blessed with for so many years. This, Alhamdulillah. If this is what I deal with, no problem.
Yeah, and I think the perfect story for that is Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam. Again, you mentioned prophets at the beginning, and his story is a story like that. It's like being tested with everything. Your kids die, you lose all your wealth, and then suddenly, your health is taken away, and then your wife wants to leave you, and everything is just happening, and yet that connection between you and Allah is so strong that you're able to go through all of those things. Yeah. We aren't like that. We haven't nurtured that relationship with Allah. So when hardship comes to us and we turn around and we ask Allah for help, we have resentment in our heart towards Allah sometimes because we don't get the thing that we asked for because we never nurtured that relationship with Allah in the first place.
SubhanAllah, yeah, that's so interesting. Jazakallah khair for sharing that. It reminded me when you said that, Tasneem, that about dua being about connection, that like we even see that in our lives. Sometimes we ask people for something, like let me just take an example of our grown children. Sometimes we'll ask our grown children for things that we're very capable of doing ourselves, but the only reason why we ask is to have a bond with them, to have a connection with them. So subhanAllah, when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things, it's not necessarily because we want the thing, but we want that connection. That's the ultimate goal. SubhanAllah. Okay, so we have another one. I know crying during salah is recommended, but if I don't cry, does that make my salah less authentic and heartful?
First of all, a person, like, what kind of crying are we trying to do, right? Like, am I forcing myself to cry just because, I need to cry? That's basically,
it's insincere.
No, it's but it's like, the things that we were once upon a time taught that were cultural and not necessarily Islamic, or things we're told, do this, do that. You have to pray, you have to get up, you have to do this. And we don't know why we're doing it. Don't just force yourself to do something because someone told you if you don't cry, you're not showing Allah you're so sincere or you're sincere enough. You have to cry because your heart is soft enough. So that person who's seeking crying in salah, I would say, first of all, soften your heart so much that you naturally cry when you remember Allah, because that's one of the categories of people who will be shaded on the Day of Judgment, right? رَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهُ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَهُ. A person who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and just their eyes start to tear up. And ways to do that is, first of all, do extra sadaqat, and not just financial money sadaqah, but help people, go out of your way to assist people, be kind to people, help in washing bodies when someone passes away in the janazah preparation and fulfilling the janazah, go and visit people that are sick, whether they're in the hospital or they're at home, reach out to them, humble yourself so that your heart becomes soft and you start to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the things that you have. Then you'll notice that when you don't even expect to cry, your plan is not to cry. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it such that you're reciting something or you're thinking of something and you begin crying, right? It's not something that you can control.
I would suggest if Arabic is not your language as well, to learn very intimately the meanings of what you're saying in salah, and spend some time going through like not just learning the meanings word for word, but a little bit of the tafsir as well, of at least Surah Fatiha, and maybe some of the background story of the words that we say in salah, and we say a lot of names of Allah when we pray, so learning what do those names mean, and what is it telling us about Allah's characteristics, I think that will go a long way towards bringing your heart more present into the salah.
Inshallah, yeah. Jazakallah khair. We're just going to end off here. One last, if you can give some recommendations for the day of Arafah. Some recommendations, because the day of dua, right? So just give some recommendations for what to focus on maybe on that day.
Of course, the biggest recommendation, of course, is that if you are able to fast, that you should fast on the day of Arafah. The fasting on the day of Arafah is, forgiveness for the sins of the previous year and the coming year, right? Of all your minor sins. Allah SWT will give you that just for fasting on that day. One of the things that you can do that I would suggest as well is that if you're, and it's very simple to incorporate into your day without doing anything that's, super extra that you might not be able to keep up, is just when you're praying your salahs, pray them a little bit slower. Pray them a little bit slower, because you are going to pray Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha already. So since you're already going to be praying them, just take a little bit more time when you're standing, go a little bit slower into your ruku', stay a little bit longer, get slowly coming up, and, take a deep breath, a deep, square breath in, hold in each position. And, just that in and of itself will go a long way towards helping you be more present, and something that you can actually benefit from physically and also emotionally, spiritually as well. And that would be something very simple to just add into your day already, because you're already going to be praying.
Also on the day of Arafah, remember takbir, right? Praise and glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can start doing that from Fajr on the day of Arafah. Fasting, as was mentioned as well. But in terms of dua, look, sometimes we make the superficial dua, as in we'll say the dua of all, or say dua of things that we've already memorized, right?
Yeah, like, we take out our thing and start reading it.
Person has no idea what they just finished saying, right? Or رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Person has no idea what they're saying. Speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like literally communicate to Allah, but think of the fine fibers in your life, the things that you don't just gloss over it, like, Ya Allah, grant me a good job. Ya Allah, please bless my family with goodness. Ya Allah, please make me, from amongst those who earn and who are wealthy. Yeah, but ask Allah, Ya Allah, I want to earn wealth that is halal for me in ways that are simple in life, and make me be content with the wealth that you do bless me with, whether it's a lot or a little, right? Go deeper into asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the things that you want. Your family, you just want your children to be pious and righteous. What about asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow them to get through the tests that they're faced with in life, and allow them to have the wisdom to navigate through those hardships, and allow them to not face the challenges that we faced, and if they do, that they pass them and they don't fail, right? And Ya Allah, make them learn from their mistakes. Ya Allah, please make every moment a moment to increase in their iman and not decrease in their iman.
Basically, yeah, just go into detail.
Go much deeper, right? Go deeper into what you want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, instead of just glossing over the surface of things and saying, I made dua.
I think a simple tip that would really help for that, because that does take long.
Taking selfie pictures of us making dua and posting it.
No, I think a simple tip that would help for doing that would be, since you are going to be praying your 5 prayers, after your prayer, if you have 5 prayers in the day, and you divide up your prayers, one for yourself, one for your parents and family, the next one for your financials, the next one for your children, the next one for the ummah. And after Fajr, you make the dua for yourself, and you talk to Allah, and you fine tune it and make dua for yourself. Then after Dhuhr, at the end of your salah, put a 5-minute timer, 10-minute timer, whatever you can have, make the dua for your family and your parents. And then, and so on and so on. And that way you're already praying, you're already going to be sitting there, just add that extra 10 minutes. And, that way you can specify your dua better, because you're devoting that specific time to, I'm only making dua after Dhuhr for my financial situation. So that will give you the chance to focus just only on that, rather than putting a little bit of everything into every dua. Maybe if you divided it up that way, and you're already praying your 5 salah anyway, so it's easy to tack on extra acts of worship at something that you're already doing because it's fard, that would probably be a good tip as well.
MashaAllah, that's a great tip, Tasneem. I do that in Ramadan as well, subhanAllah, it's a great tip. And like Dawood, as you're talking, like in my mind, it's coming the difference between a cordial relationship with Allah versus an intimate relationship with Allah. Like the cordial is like, it's very superficial, and, like we just ask the things that we know, but the intimate relationship is when you really go deep and like you let it all out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, So
yeah, and you can only do that, again, if you know Allah, right? And that's why I started off with that verse, that if you know Allah, then you will know yourself. And because you have to get really personal and very deep. And I think if I remember both times when I was standing in Arafah, I didn't write down any du'as or anything like that. And I just stood there and I just let what was inside me come out. And you remember, you learn so much about yourself, because you have to become so raw, and you have to just communicate with Allah and just really talk to him and tell him what your pain is, and what your struggle is, and what your needs really are. And what that forces you to do is look at yourself and admit to yourself, I need this. I'm going through this, I have this problem. It forces you to do that. So you come to know yourself by knowing Allah.
Oh, yes, subhanAllah. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut this short because it's so lovely. We can go on and on and on, you know, but I'm sure everybody has things to do. So jazakumullah khairan for coming. I really, really appreciate it, the time that you've given and sharing the wisdom and the gems with us. And jazakumullah khairan for all of you who have tuned in and joined us today. I pray that you have benefited from this session as much as I have. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach us that which benefits us, and may He benefit us with that which we learn. So stay tuned. Our next Facebook Live, inshallah, will be next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And that will be titled, How to Use Our Faith to Heal from Trauma. So that's how to use our faith to heal from trauma. And mashallah, that sounds like a really interesting one as well, where we're going to discuss how faith can help us in healing trauma from a professional mental health perspective. And our guest will be Sister Rina Vanza, who is a registered psychotherapist. So again, jazakumullah khairan. Thank you everyone for attending. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. And all the social media accounts are up, so don't forget to check us out. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh from Nisa Helpline.